What's news, Artifam? This is Artifact News coming to you with episode number 23, RTFKT and Nike Dunk Genesis. Clone-tober, right? Uptember. It's totally living up to the hype at this point. I mean, Bitcoin is absolutely soaring. I think last I looked, it was at 33.5 or something like that. Clones are doing pretty well out there on the market. I mean, NFTs in general are seeing an uptick in prices and interest. But just beyond all of that, if we take a look at everything that Artifact is delivering out here, it's just nothing short of spectacular. I mean, especially like we already saw the delivery of the Season 1 Forgeables, the entire clothing line that they released. And then they followed it up with the Crypto Kick in real life. Completely delivered on that, and now we have the Air Force Ones, and just as predicted, right? Obviously, which was an obvious prediction, is that the timeline was going to blow up as soon as all those Air Force Ones were delivered, and that's just all we're seeing all over the timeline right now. Is everybody just completely loving on the Air Force Ones, and it's so cool too because it's not just all clones either. It's just people from all over the crypto ecosystem just getting a glimpse of the types of craftsmanship that Artifact is capable of. It's crazy here too because I do have like the shipment. The shipment finally came in, and I have all the Air Force Ones. But like Artifact has been delivering so much that it's hard to even keep up for me anyway to do like review videos or anything like that. I still want to do a review video for the luggage, and for the clothing, and for the Crypto Kicks in real life, and now have the Air Force Ones too. Like, it's the best problem in the world to have, is that our project, Clone X, with Artifact, there's just so much that is being delivered of insanely high quality too, that it's just hard to even keep up, which is amazing, right? And now we have the crypto, or actually just the Dunk Genesis, I believe was what they're being called. And you know, they had the render reveal party, and the renders looked amazing. I really loved the renders, and we get to see the different colorways and everything. And we'll talk a little bit more, definitely about that more in this video. But then when we finally saw that sample, it's just outlandish how much I loved the sample. Like, that is like the perfect shoe for me in terms of just like that structure, just the, I don't know. It's like if you blended, I wrote this in a tweet here, but like it's like if you put Ready Player One, Back to the Future, and then a bunch of old school RPG type games where they had like that chunky type anime-ish type clothing, and if you just combined all of that into one shoe, that's basically what that shoe is, for me anyway. And I would say it's probably one of my favorite shoes that I've ever seen. So like, you know, on top of delivering things like, this is the most futuristic hoodie in the world that was delivered a long time ago, this AR hoodie that comes equipped with the NFC chip for verification. You know, then they delivered all of that other clothing with all of those different textures, and the Crypto Kicks in real life, which is the most futuristic shoe in the world, and the Air Force Ones just made of all different types of materials also. And now we got the Dunk Genesis that have all kinds of innovations throughout also, and it's just like the team really got to get their hands in there and really make that silhouette their own, which is a little bit different than, you know, what the Crypto Kicks in real life, which were kind of coming off of like the Nike Adapt silhouette really heavily. And then you have the, you know, obviously the Air Force Ones coming off the Air Force One silhouettes, even though like they totally innovated on the Crypto Kick in real life and on the AF ones, because I mean, you can see all these textures on these things. I mean, obviously the reptile is just the most insane texture out there. That is one of the most insane, amazing shoes I've ever seen, really. Like, I love the artwork from the MK drip and the MK DNA. The reptiles are just like slamming you in the face with just like how stunning those are. And then I don't know. I mean, the demons, Genesis, like the angels, like the undeads are sweet too. I mean, I don't know. They're all just amazing. So yeah, but the Dunk Genesis is just a whole new thing. I mean, I don't think they're going to be delivered until next June 2024, but we have until the 30th to forge them. And it's just so crazy because, of course, ETH is going crazy right now during the forge, right? Making it a little bit tougher to calculate when you should get in, when you should get out, when you should forge or whatever. But I haven't forged yet. I'm going to be forging very soon. And it's a tough call, like how many to get. I mean, like thinking forward to June, I can just already imagine being kind of bummed out if I didn't forge enough. You know, like you're just gonna wish that you had more coming when it's finally time for them to arrive. But it's amazing, and Artifact is absolutely crushing it. And you know, another cool thing happened today that we're gonna talk about at the end of the video. We'll save that for a surprise. But you know, after the last video, I really had to do some kind of soul searching, because if you've been following along with my channel, you know that I always talk about the gaming aspect to this whole entire ecosystem. And really just watching Ben in the White Crypto video in that interview say that they're not making their own game. And you know, I thought maybe there was like a lost in translation aspect in there, but I don't think so. I think that is the company line at the moment. Because I think Harlan also said, in those uncertain terms, that they're not making a game either. And you know, it's not like they're not going to be in gaming in some capacity for sure. Like Ben even said that they're working on a Fortnite map, so probably working with UEFN. And Sam, you know, that tweet that I always reference that he probably hates I reference, he mentioned that Jingle Bells when I asked him, is Artifact working with EA or Epic? And Sam said Jingle Bells. And that's the CTO of Artifact. So when he says Jingle Bells in reference to that question, it seems like it means, yeah, okay, there's probably going to be some type of a game coming by Christmas. Who knows? Not going to hold him to that. Love the fact that he was even sharing information, but that could mean that there is like a UEFN possibly coming right around Christmas for Artifact. I don't know. Don't hold your breath on that, because we have two words on that. Jingle Bells. Neither of those necessarily mean that that's coming, right? But anyway, I had to kind of recalibrate and really think about it and kind of have an epiphany in some way of saying, yeah, they're not going to be making a game. And what does that mean now? And I kind of got to a cooler place with it, where it's like it was kind of freeing in a way, because I had been so certain that they were going to be making a game. And it's almost like that road had been paved for me anyway, in terms of like where I thought this was going. So I was really stuck to that idea. And when you hear that they're not making a game, and you know like how brilliant that team is, they definitely have vision. They've shown that. I mean, Ben, Zap, and Chris, super futuristic, right? They were doing things that no other people were doing way before people started doing them. Like, they definitely have vision. So they definitely have some place that they want this to go, and they're going to guide it there. So if they're saying that they're not making a game, then it must be super interesting. Like, whatever they got going on seems like it's going to be something amazing, right? Because these guys don't just miss out here. They're generally hitting the shots. So what could it be? And that's where the epiphany kind of took over. And it's like maybe some like freeing of the pressure of, oh, it's going to definitely be a game. Now it's like, well, what could it be? Like, if you really open your mind to what Web3 could be, what digital collectability, what property rights, digital property rights could be, and interoperability between possibly different developers and different organizations or corporations or community is like, what could it really be? Maybe it's something even just more wild than like the traditional types of situations we've always been thinking about, like games or things like that. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to really tell where it's going to go, but I'm more excited now. I'm feeling a little bit more adaptable, a little more liquid with it. Where could it go? Who knows? Maybe open the mind up a little bit, release some of those expectations and those ideas, and try to come up with some new ones. And that's always kind of a breath of fresh air when you're able to just say, okay, so let's see where this really can go. Let's really stretch our mind a little bit and see and get creative with it, get innovative with it. I mean, we have some really great tools like this blockchain capability, which is basically that has a chance to put an end to forgery for fashion, which is such a huge deal. That's billions of dollars every year that Nike alone is losing due to forgeries. Like, so you have this new blockchain-based proof of provenance that can allow for digital collectability or collectability in general in a way that we've never seen before. So, I mean, how does that get woven into something new, a new type of tapestry for the new age, and where is it going? So that's really epic. And it's weird. It's like we have this push and pull between the digital and the physical. Right now we're seeing a ton of physical. We got all of the, I already talked about all of the forgings, right? We have all of those are physical forgings. They do have digital components with them, but clearly there's more utility with the physical stuff because you can wear it. You can wear it around, you can show it to people. You can feel it, it's tactile, that kind of stuff. So like with the digital, I think we could see that kind of play in here soon, possibly with Animus and stuff. So there's a push and pull with the physical and the digital. But interestingly, and this is a huge use case or just a huge strategic advantage for Artifact, is that in between the digital and the physical, you have mixed reality. And how insane is it that they are the world class, like the leaders in the clubhouse, right? They are the ones that you don't want to compete with if you're into mixed reality, because they've been doing it for a long time. And it's so good, literally, it's surreal. It's like surreality, where you can't even tell that if it's there or not. That's how good they are with it. They're like still fooling people. People are still seeing the Tesla sneakers on Elon Musk and thinking that those are real. And that was just Photoshop. I mean, if you've seen some of the things that Chris Lee and the team are capable of doing with augmented reality, it really will warp your mind. And like they're leading in that way. So not only are they leading with Nike with all of these unbelievable physicals, and not only do they have the digital department at Artifact that is capable of making, again, world-class digitals, then you're going to find this way with the mixed reality of augmented reality and how that's going to augment fashion and what that's going to do for fashion. It's a gigantic deal. It's going to make fashion so much more profitable. I mean, gosh, let's just think really quick, okay? Like, back in the day, you would buy a cartridge, like a Legend of Zelda cartridge. Okay, now if you compare that to a purse or a shoe, let's compare it to like a shoe. Like back in the day when you bought the cartridge, you played that thing, you wore it out, you beat the game, and then you threw it in a hamper or something. You know what I'm saying? Kind of the same thing with the shoe too. You put that shoe on and you just wore it out until it was done and then threw that thing in the garbage. But now with like the digital aspect of everything, with microtransactions, and I know all the gamers right there just threw something against the wall when I said that word. But literally what it does, what that digital component, it lets those things live on beyond their typical use cases. Like that cartridge, that Legend of Zelda cartridge, like you fast forward to today when you have a video game and now you have DLC, you have microtransactions, you have all of this stuff that can produce revenue that can keep the game alive. It can keep it going on. It can make it more profitable than it ever was before because you can add these different components to it. And everybody always says, we hate microtransactions, it's gonna ruin the game. And that's just wrong. Just flat out wrong. I mean, microtransactions, that's a morally neutral topic. It could ruin a game. It could make it the best game in the world. It all comes down to the developer and whether they're going to be sleazy about it and try to work you over with the microtransactions in some like really kind of gross way, or if somebody is going to like use microtransactions in the perfect way to really reward people and give them what they're looking for so that they can purchase it and then the game can live on because now it's got a new revenue stream. It's the same thing with fashion, right? Like we used to throw fashion items in the garbage after we were done with them and everything. Like now, you're gonna have DLC and microtransactions for your fashion. You're gonna walk in, you'll go to a marketplace, you'll download some new skin or some digital complement for your shoes before you go to some party or whatever. It'll cost like $5, maybe it'll be $20, $100, whatever, depending on the complexity. But now that new revenue stream allows like the fashion manufacturers the ability to ramp up staff for digital and get the best digital artists in there to create even more insane compliments. It allows them this new revenue to feed off of to create new insane things. So just like the video game cartridge, the shoe, it's undergoing a metamorphosis into something greater. It's going to lead to higher profitability for the firms that are creating this stuff, for sure. Also, it's going to lead to them to develop new technology and new ways of thinking and interacting with fashion, which is going to be great for all of us because that's going to connect us to the fashion designers in ways we've never been connected before. That's amazing. So Artifact is going to be at the heart of that. They're already like leading in that way, right? Where they kind of understand how to apply augmented reality, mixed reality in a way that it's exactly what we were all hoping it would be, where you can't even distinguish whether or not it's real or not. So that's where Artifact is kind of like in that middle of the physical and the digital, plus they have the augmented reality. So they really are, they've always talked about merging worlds. So they really do have that ability. And, maybe they're just more interested in that than just a game necessarily. Because it really is turning the whole world into a playground or a game in some way where your clothing is just insane looking, And it's got all of these like interactive elements to it. I don't know. So anyway, my mind is more open now, and I think that is more freeing. And I think I'm in a better place with it. Will I eventually want to see an Artifact game of some sort? Yeah, I would for sure. I mean, listen, Fortnite made $5.8 billion in 2022 from selling digital fashion. Like, yeah, if I'm in this ecosystem, I want Nike to make as much money and Artifact to make as much money. I want them to pour a lot of that money into development to make the experience better, to draw more people into Clone X. And, so that they can create some amazing environment where they're selling digital fashion. I think that'd be super profitable for Nike and for Artifact. And I think it could be great for Clone X holders, because if we could be at the center of some of that and also being able to get in on, some of the creative aspects and, being able to sell things, I think that's good for all of us. So I think it would be great eventually for them to build a game, but they might have other aspirations and they might be cooler than I thought, like it's hard to really judge that team or think that you know better than that team, because they really were in the future. I mean, if you think you're going to beat Chris Lee, Zap, or Ben to an idea, you might want to think again, man, because they were doing things that other people weren't doing a long time ago. I mean, Chris was selling really sweet skins on CSGO just so long ago, before like people even really understood like what microtransactions or skins were. You know, like had that vision way long ago. And you know, Zap with all of like the physical sneaker manufacturing and everything he's been involved in, like entrepreneurship. And then, you know, Ben with like gaming and like luxury management and stuff. Like they're just like heavy hitters. So I'm sure they have a really great strategy that's going to be epic to watch roll out. So anyway, it's a long-winded way of saying I had an epiphany. I'm feeling better about it, and I think it's going to be great. And I'm excited for what's to come. Okay, so in this video, real quick, we're going to get first into the RTFKT Nike Dunk Genesis. That's the first topic. That's what you came here for. Second, we are going to talk about the Vial EVO X system. And crazy enough, I mean, that's about to roll out here in like 8 days. So this is just going to be a little precursor to October 31st, Halloween, right? Like they're going to roll it out on Halloween, of course, which is great. And then the third segment's going to be a new electrically charged segment called Ion, or in other news, it's just positively and negatively charged news from around the ecosphere for Clone X and Artifact. All right, well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Again, we have about 259 subscribers. We're kind of climbing steady. Turtle, you know, the tortoise type situation here where we're moving along slowly but surely. But if you haven't subscribed yet, just do it. It takes 2 seconds. Leave me a like. Leave me a comment. It's always fun to talk to people in the comments. So, but yeah, I appreciate you for showing up. Now let's dive in. Here we go. Let's dive into the RTFKT Nike Dunk Genesis and just look at the whole rollout and see where we are right now. And, you know, I'll offer some of my thoughts on like what I'm excited about and what I'm likely to forge. And we could take a look at some of the community members and some of the infographics that they put together to kind of help guide the community. And then we're definitely going to look at some of the innovations and everything that are involved that Artifact rolled out. So let's take a look. I mean, it all started really with this tweet that came out on October 4th. This was just a landmark tweet, you know, like the whole entire community, definitely the Clone X and Artifact community, but even like, you know, the NFT community is wondering what's going to happen with these. And we get this huge tweet that has all kinds of juicy information in it, right? Everything from the date for the Dunk Genesis forging event between the 18th and the 30th. As of the recording of this video, it's the 23rd, so got about 7 days left. Then it looks like on October 31st through November 7th, which that is Halloween, is going to kick off the Skin Vial EVO X evolution. So that was a huge piece of information right there, because like, oh, we're getting the Vial EVO X evolution. That's crazy. And then on November 8th through the 13th, a skin vial forging. So this is the confirmation that we're going to get physical vials right here, which is a huge deal, right? So, I mean, I don't know, that for collectors to hear that they're going to get some cool little vial that they can actually put into the shoe is just out of control. We'll talk about Memory's prediction on that in the next segment, in the vial segment, but yeah, so that's for the 18th through the 19th. Then it goes on to the Complexcon, the pre-sale launch of the Void edition, and that's for the public, which is going to be amazing at Complexcon. And I've been hearing so many amazing things about Complexcon first. We're not going to get too far into that, but just like Chris Lee and Zap, and yeah, the whole team was saying like how cool Complexcon's going to be, and how they've like stepped up the marketing and they're really going to go for it at Complexcon. So I think that's going to be a great event to be at. If you're going to be there, you're very lucky, I think. So also you get to see like the public's reaction to all of the entire situation, because I'm pretty sure they're going to have like the Air Force Ones there. They're probably going to have the sample of the Crypto Dunk or the Dunk Genesis, possibly. I'm just guessing there. But you know, the public's going to be able to see these colorways, and man, the Void edition is going to be ready for public sale, and also it's going to be you're going to a credit card. You're going to be able to purchase it with a credit card. So it's going to be so interesting to see what they do for the digital there. Like, you know, you're purchasing with the credit card. Are they going to give you some kind of wallet or some kind of a verification code so that when you do get a wallet that you can hook that up? You know, I don't know. So it's going to be a very interesting time. But so we have the whole date structure for the rollout right here. I'm starting at October 18th through November 20th for this whole project, basically. And then, you know, we got to see that it's going to come in 3 limited editions with, you know, depending on if you own a Dunk Genesis or a Clone X digital collectible, that will determine like what you're able to forge. And one of the first editions will be the first ever Artifact X Nike sneaker available to the general public, premiering at Complexcon. So the Dunk Genesis owners get a guaranteed access to all 3 editions, and it's going to retail for $222. Also, there's a full FAQ there too, which that was a really big deal. And we could take a look at that really quick. We're not going to go through each of the actual topics in the FAQ, but it's still cool to look at. So I think it's in here somewhere. That was October 4th. So it's a little earlier, and boom, right here. Okay, so yeah, they have all kinds of information in here, you know, like what are the forging events. Like if you're brand new to the ecosystem, like you can definitely get in here and learn a ton about it, especially with the 101 artifact, like what is forging. So you can even get into this too to kind of learn more about what forging means to Artifact if you have any questions. And they put together a cool little infographic right here, the availability chart, and what you're going to be able to get with what. You know, like if you own a Clone X, you're able to forge 2 of the Clone X colorways. If you own a Nike Dunk Genesis, you can get 2 Clone X colorways, 2 Void colorways, and 1 OG if you want. So that's 5 shoes right there that you can get if you're a Nike Dunk Genesis holder. And then for Complexcon, you can get 1 Void, which is very cool. So yeah, you know, we got a good look here at the 3 colorways and all kinds of questions, like, you know, about from the perspective of like a monolith holder. How much does it cost to participate in the forging event? So if you have any questions about like how to forge, definitely hit the FAQ, and you're going to find it in this one tweet in particular. There's on October 4th. So if you're not following Artifact, follow Artifact, go to this tweet. You'll see the Artifact FAQ right here. And then you can get answers to pretty much any question that you're probably going to have right there. So that was the first huge piece of information that hit us. I mean, price, and then the entire structure of the rollout, like, and what you're going to be able to get and when you're going to be able to get it. Plus, we also learned that there was going to be a Vial evolution. So that's also super crazy piece of information. But then they started hitting us with these innovation rollouts. And this first one was the mod attachments. So this is obviously like a picture of the heel right here. This is a modular heel, a shield mod. So it's like a heel shield. And but this just introduced the whole idea that there's going to be this modification system now. And the mod attachments, and I was going crazy about it. I'm sure everybody else was too. And So what did that mean in general, right? There's so many questions around that, like for the mod attachments, and we'll get into some of those questions as we go, but let's take a look at the next innovation. This is the spinal midsole. So let's like enlarge this a little bit. So the spinal artifact midsole embedded with Nike Air Zoom cushion. So you can see like that's all bespoke, or like not bespoke, but like clearly designed for this shoe, right? So that's an innovative element that is they created for this shoe. God, and it just looks great too. Like what a great design again. They have some of the best industrial design out here right now. Gotta tell you. So yeah, the innovation, the spinal artifact midsole embedded with the Nike Air Zoom cushion. So that was innovation 2. Then we had innovation 3 here. This is like the vial clip tongue mod, which is serving as like a vial dock. Now each of the shoes, each colorway is going to come with its own vial. The Void, the Clone X, and the OG. So how cool is that, first of all, that the shoes do come with the vials? That's amazing, because we know that there's an entire skin vial section out here, but like these are going to come with their own vials on top of it. So like you can definitely forge the vials that you have in your collection now, but it's also cool that these are coming with their own. I don't know. I think it's a really great little touch there, especially for collectors. And but let's take a look at the 4th. This is the Evertide Space Laces. And if you got to be in the artifact space, and if you haven't, you should definitely check it out on their website, or actually on their Twitter feed. Go to that Spaces and listen to it if you haven't yet, because I've listened to it a couple of times now, and man, there's so much information flying around that, like right here on October 19th, Artifact Nike Dunks. Definitely check that Spaces out if you can. There's all kinds of cool information on there, but one of the pieces of information is that Chris Lee loves these space laces. He's saying in there, he said it feels like a dried worm or something, but they're kind of elastic and they're like a futuristic lace. It's like an innovative lace for real, you know. And I think Derek, it is. He was mentioning it. He's on the production team. I think he's the lead. I forgot exactly what the title is, but Derek was saying that he dropped some alpha in the middle of that Spaces and said that there's like an extra pair of the laces in the box too, which is another cool piece of tidbit of information. But these laces are kind of like, apparently they have a weird feel to them that maybe help keep the shoe a little tighter, a little more snug without like having to lace them and like lace them up tight or something. Maybe I don't know. There's a cool restriction element to them. We'll see. But innovation 5, the glow blade and the swoosh. So it's a gradient glow swoosh and blade. Now glow, I don't know. I mean, how much is it going to glow? Is it going to glow like the undead jacket? I mean, it's going to be one of those things where it's exposed to sunlight and then it glows like crazy at night? Or is this just going to be something that always look like it's glowing, but doesn't actually have any like phosphoric elements to it that actually make it glow, but it just looks like it's glowing? But it's an innovation, they're calling it. So I would think, unless the color is straight up innovative, the glow, which GLO, it looks like some type of acronym, but I didn't really hear it described or like broken down into separate words or anything yet. So, but maybe the innovation is the glow. Maybe it actually does kind of have like a nighttime glow effect. Who knows? That's something else we'll find out. But then we have 6, the lenticular upper. So it's a unibody lenticular upper. And, you know, for lenticular, definitely a $30 word, right? Like that's one of those, it's a crazy word, but it basically means that like when you move your head and you look at something from a different perspective, it actually changes either color or like the content changes, or it like shifts its look based on whatever perspective that you're looking at it at. So you've seen like holographic cards, and you've seen, I don't know, You've probably seen all types of things like that have that shimmering type glow to them. And when you look at it from a certain angle, it looks like it's a certain color. So yeah, that's it. I mean, we can get a better look at it right here in this video. So you can see how shimmery it is. And it's definitely going to change like its look, just like kind of based on whatever perspective you're looking at it. But definitely really cool. So yeah, I mean, here's the video that they kind of teased us with too. This was really cool. Like this is like the render reveal party, right? This is the beginning of it right here, because this is when like we first got to see, oh man, look at that render. That's looking real sick right there. And it's really looking good. And their marketing's just on point in general, by the way. Really love it. So yeah, but let's keep it moving here. So render reveal party. This is when it all started right here. This is like the OG edition right here. And then in this tweet that happened on October 17th, we got to see the actual other two colorways for the first time too. But the OG just looks so slick right here. I went kind of bananas in a tweet because I was really, really taken aback by these. I really love the whole look. And I don't even know how to explain what I really love about it, other than it just really has a futuristic video gamey feel to it. And it's chunky, and it has like these accessories on it. It's just right up my alley. So that was the OG colorway. And then here we go with the Void colorway. Now this is going to be the one that's available for public. And if you're at Complexcon, you're going to be able to get one of these for $222 at Complexcon in public, I think by way of credit card. And they look real slick right there. Man, that looks really good right there. I'm loving that. That purple is just beaming. And if you zoom into that purple, it's got these like little elements inside of that. Gosh, I don't know how to say it, but it looks cool anyway if you zoom into that swoosh. And then we have the third one is the Clone X colorway right here. And it looks great. I mean, if I had any notes on this, it was like that the Void and the Clone X were both black, and they kind of look pretty similar. I don't know, but you know what I've heard is that the Clone X actually has like a lenticular aspect to it, so it looks like the Void, but really it has a whole different vibe to it, because it's going to be kind of shimmery, like black and shimmery. So it has an extra nuance to it that is going to make it special, which is great. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that there are some people in the Clone X community that were saying, and I was one of them too, that this colorway, it would have been cool if it was reserved only for Clone X holders. I was thinking actually that it would have been ideal if it was you had to own a Clone X and you had to own a Dunk Genesis. You had to own both of them to be able to forge this one, which would have made it a lot more rare and a lot more like just, I don't know, would have given it that mystique. But instead it was like, if you own a Crypto Dunk Genesis, you can forge all of the colorways even if you don't own a clone. So, after talking to some of the team members and stuff, it's just like they wanted to reward the Dunk Genesis holders, especially after all of the stuff that happened with the Monolith X and everything. So, with the Monolith 2. So I can get that. It's the Dunk Genesis ecosystem, and they wanted to reward them, so they allow them to get all of the things. So I think a lot of us just as Clone X holders are hoping that at some point, you're really going to be incentivized to own a Clone X. We love seeing stuff like that. It's not like we haven't seen that already. Like, definitely you've been rewarded if you've owned a Clone X, but I think we just all love seeing that every time. But either way, moving beyond that, the Clone X colorway does have something special to it, even though it does look a little bit like the Void. Or it looks a lot like the Void, to be honest. Right? But the Void, I'm guaranteeing you, when you hold them in your hands, it's probably going to look a lot different. So out of the three, I don't know if I had to rank them. My favorite would be the OG. Then I'd probably go Clone X. Yeah, definitely, especially with the lenticular. And then Void. But I love all of them, and I'm going to forge all of them. So, fired up. Render reveal party. That was the wrap up on that. So this was the Forging Begins event right here. That was the day of October 18th. Everyone getting fired up. We got to see the blade side, which is looking really cool, and you can see that glow innovation coming in, how it's like that gradient glow. Looking really nice. Yeah, another double logo, right? Nike Artifact collaboration again. Man, I'm loving it. And then we had the Dunk Files site. So the Dunk Files website is now live. Subscribe to updates to learn more about the Genesis story and development of the Artifact Nike Dunk Genesis. So it looks like they're going to actually like roll out a whole lot of lore and, you know, like development and everything and behind the scenes on creating this shoe, because this shoe is a big deal for Artifact. I mean, this is them really getting to show their style, like truly with the silhouette, and like really go for it, you know, like really bring that Artifact vision to life. So I think they're really proud of it, and it's so cool that they're going to have like some behind the scenes thing. I think it's really great. So this was their allotment chart that was kind of showing. We saw that on the website too, in the FAQ, which is really cool. But before we had this, I believe there was a lot of like community members that were coming out and like really creating some awesome visual aids for us to kind of understand what we were doing. So Kane here, and that's at Kane Bowden. Okay, so you can see it there. I would follow Kane because really on point analysis all of the time, and like as you can see, able to create these really cool graphic elements here on how to buy the Artifact and Nike Dunks. So follow Kane, and if you'd like this setup right here, which it's really clearly readable, then follow him and check out that thread. I'm sure it's right on his profile. So that was Kane's effort, which I thought was really awesome. Then there was Max, Web3 Max. Max came up with a really cool rollout also. It's a thread that's got all the infographics and everything that you will need to really confidently forge if you're still in question. So I would definitely subscribe to Max and check out that thread right there. It's a very cool thread. And then Prez, who was, I believe he won a prize in the last Clone Awards. Yeah, he did. Always a great community member, always dropping knowledge and great guesses and everything. And here is his effort on the guide. So it's really cool. And I gotta say, just if you are on the fence and you don't really know exactly what's going on, hit up definitely the FAQ on the Artifact website. Then these three guides right here, can't go wrong with any of these. You're definitely going to learn a lot. And definitely equip yourself with the knowledge. Okay, so you know, I listened back to like the spaces that they had, and they were talking about the box. And I asked a question because I think it was Cass that was saying, "Hey, ask some questions, and then we'll try to ask those questions during the spaces." One of the questions that I had was, is there gonna be a new box for the Crypto Kick Genesis or the Crypto Dunk Genesis? I always say crypto. I think they left crypto out of it. I think it's just the Nike artifact or the artifact Nike Dunk Genesis. Anyway, I was wondering if they were going to have a new box for it because we see this really sweet box for the Air Force Ones. They basically said that the box for the Dunk Genesis is going to be their box going forward. That's going to be their new box. So I don't know how close it's going to be to the one that we got for the Air Force Ones. It's probably going to be pretty close if you ask me. It's going to have a display on the front and everything. But Zap was kind of referring to like the Apex Legends box and everything that they did at one point. So then that threw me down a rabbit hole, and I was just going to bring some of this up so we could check it out for a second. Like this is the Apex Legends that they did right here. This is for Rampart, and they gave these away. And this is the box that they did for it. And what Chris was saying, which I really related to, is like back in the day before graphics processors were amazing, like the video game designers would have to like make a texture and make it look like it was like it had definition to it, even though it was just a 2D flat object. But like if you're really good with shadows and you're really good with like lighting and stuff, you can make a 2D object kind of look like a 3D object. And that's what they did for this one. And that's what I believe they're doing for, well, that's what they did for their first one box. That's what they do for the Crypto Kick Genesis box. So that was that box. And I found that on Aluna Zero's page. He was one of the winners of the Rampart edition. What a cool thing to win. And then Bryson Tiller, I believe, won these other ones. Gosh, I forgot what Octanes. Yeah, they were the Octanes. So he won those. And then here's Chris Lee right here talking about the Apex Legends sneakers that they dropped a while back. So he's talking about the video game texturing method for the box. Thought that was really cool. Man, look at this Bloodhound design right here that he did a lot earlier. This is 2019. Super sick. Here's another version that he did. Really, really great. Gosh, man, the art's sick. Here's another look at the box. You can kind of see, yeah, wow, that really does look textured, even though it's just not. What is that thing? I don't even know what that is. That's super cool. Hey, what about these white gloves? Can we get those white gloves going? It'd be really cool, because I don't even want to touch the Air Force Ones at this point with my fingers. I'd like to use the gloves, but artifact gloves. That'd be sweet. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, like with the AR and the digital and stuff. Like, it's hard to tell, like, if you show just a normal person who said, is that a real shoe or not? They'd think it's a real shoe. That's not, though. That's a 3D creation. It's insane. So, yeah, now here we go with the sample, right? This was such a huge deal for me because I really love how this sample looks. I mean, I even liked it a little tiny bit better than the render. It's so close to the render, but let's get a little closer look at it. I mean, look at that. I see in the render, the toe was a little bit more pointy. And in this one, it comes out a little bit. It flattens out a little bit more. I love that. But then I'm just looking at the rest, and it just looks absolutely perfect. This is my favorite shoe. Artifact absolutely crushed it. Here's the sole, too. I mean, like, we saw the sole before, but I didn't even know that they were going to have, like, these green elements underneath it either peeking out. But the sole looks unbelievable. I love it because it's just the intention throughout is just like, it's like well-intentioned design, which is always a plus. It looks fantastic. I don't know. They killed it. One thing I want to talk about is Maximoni. He dropped a tweet right here. So, like, if you are new to this whole idea and you're thinking about forging, definitely go follow Maximoni because he's on their security team. But also, definitely check this tweet because he's saying, like, if you are looking to purchase either a dunk or a clone to use for forging artifact dunks, please prioritize using the redemption checker on the artifact.com. The metadata on OpenSea may not be up to date, so they're trying their best to keep up with it. But like he's saying right here, like, go to the redemption checker just in case. And I would suggest that for sure. You don't want to get scammed because there's some that are partially forged. There's some are like max forged. Then there's some that haven't been forged at all. But Maximoni is saying that the OpenSea is not keeping up with. They're not keeping up with that. So you have to be careful and go to the redemption checker. But like, I wanted to also just talk, give a little love to acronym here. This is like, I believe they had some kind of a collab with Nike at some point back in the day and Soulbox. And you can see these 3D printed mods here, right? And they look really cool. This is, what we could see probably for the future. Like some of these designs are amazing. And I was researching this a little bit, and I guess there's I don't know a ton about this culture, this specific subculture, but I think it's Bosozoku. Yes, it's basically custom bikes, modified bikes in Japan. And I think from what I read in acronym, that was kind of like they were playing off the inspiration for this subculture right here, where there's just a lot heavy modifications on these bikes. But they look really cool. I mean, super artistic. And that's kind of like the inspiration, basically, that was leading to that design for the modifications on the shoes. But, I mean, look at this. This is a cool design. It's got like some light up aspect to it. Looking super cool. I'm sure we're going to see some of that. Looking like some rocket ship situation right here. Then, yeah, Harlan hit us with the let us seeing the dunks with the mods and without the mods. So if we get a little bit closer in on that. There's the OGs with and without. I mean, I like it with, to be honest. I like the junkiness, so. Yeah, they still look really sleek, don't they? Yeah. Yeah, super cool. I don't know. I mean, where do we go from here? Like, that's about all the information really we got on the forging for this aspect right now. But I gotta say, I really love the rollout. I thought it was great. I mean, I think they're really learning and kind of like getting better at all of this. Like that huge info drop that we had right at the beginning. It was super interesting and juicy and meaty, and there's just so much to dissect right there. It was like, that was a great tweet. And then like separating these innovations out and kind of letting us build along the way and get excited with each new innovation. But it shows that they're proud of the innovations, and they didn't. I'm glad they did that, because if they would have just dropped all of that at once, it would have been crazy. The innovations would have got lost along the way, but they spread it out, and it was super sick. And yeah, I think they did a great job. I can't wait to forge. And I can't wait till June 2024 until they arrive. I think it's going to be my favorite shoe ever. Calling it early. Here we go. All right, so let's move on to our second segment, the Vial EVO X. This is super exciting. I think a lot of us have been just completely waiting for this moment where we would get more information on the EVO X and where we're going to go with this. And it all started from this video. Let's watch it one more time. I've showed it in the last couple videos, but I never get sick of watching it, and this is where it all stemmed from.
Welcome to the Artifact ecosystem. Today, Artifact together with Nike Crypto Kicks introduces the future of sneakers. starting with the RTFKT Nike Dunk Genesis powered by DreamOS and Skin Vial Tech. Skin Vials allow you to change the look of the RTFKT Nike Dunk Genesis or any compatible sneakers with limited edition skins. Collect, evolve, and breed sneaker skins created by legendary collaborators, artists, and the RTFKT community. Load up thousands of skins to a single pair of sneakers. Today, we start with EVO X, RTFKT's first skin vial collection featuring 8 Clone X DNA-based evolutive skins. EVO X powered skins vials allow you to evolve your RTFKT Nike Dunk Genesis sneaker and choose drip upgrades and powers. Which path will you choose for your evolutive skin as you journey into the RTFKT ecosystem and unlock the future? The future is now.
Still just one of my favorite videos, promotional videos of all time. They just really crushed that. So that's what, you know, skin vials, they came in the original monolith, right? You opened that and you could get a random skin vial of any of the DNAs. Also a crypto, a Dunk Genesis, and another monolith. So that's where, you know, it all stemmed from. And now here we are, right? And I would just like to give some props really quick to Memory for kind of bringing this up. I think it was on September 29th in this thread right here, where he was just kind of getting us hyped up and everything for the Crypto Dunk Genesis, but then also mentioned that there could be physical vials there. And I think in the last video when I referenced this, I was saying that I didn't think that we're going to make physical vials, right? And I was just like, I would love the idea that if they would, but I thought it would have been overly complex for them to kind of come up with or whatever. But yeah, man, Memory he was onto it. It was pretty cool. So props there. And you know, there was some really some foreshadowing basically when we were getting close here to the final rollout of the Crypto Dunk Genesis and some of the more of the information. And the vial clip, right? The tongue mod for the vial clip, which definitely is showing that there's going to be a physical vial there. And yeah, I mean, that it's later confirmed, right? I dropped this tweet here. Physical vials confirmed. This was after reading the FAQ. And I think the last portion of the FAQ is talking about the physical vial being able to be forged. And you know, we're going to listen to a clip later, but I think so, like how that came to be, the vial being forged, is Zap was saying that Chris was coming up with such futuristic designs and everything for these shoes, which were amazing. And, you know, Zap saying things like, you know, they possibly could be forgeable at some point, like 5 or 10 years down into the future, those shoes, because they're so heavy with the design and so futuristic. So they wanted to come up with something to kind of reward people for evolving and getting through the evolutions. So they kind of came up with that they would actually just make the physical vials because they couldn't make those physical shoes. But they could make physical vials, and that could still show people that that you do own that, like an Evolution 3. So I don't know. Anyway, really cool. I mean, this was confirmed like through the FAQ, which blew everybody's mind and had us all just kind of going crazy. This was the actual section right here in the FAQ. Man, it's just so cool for like a collector to get something like this. I mean, look at the design on these are so sick. And like, just for instance, if you like, after looking at that initial promotional video that's showing evolution through tiers of evolution, like this is the Murakami vial. And let's look at like the tier 1. This is the tier 1 evolution of that vial, which is so beautiful. Man, that is such an amazing shoe right there. Yeah, it's even got the little jetpack down there. Maybe that was like an early hint at a mod way back in the day. But so yeah, that's tier 1. And you know, it's so weird because Chris is in one of the interviews, and you'll hear it in a little bit, talking about how amazing the Murakami tier 3 is. Which, gosh, man, I would love to get one of those vials, but they're just too expensive. Like, even still, like, you know, clones kind of drop down to like 1.3. Man, those vials are still, for Murakami's, are still like 10 something. 10 ETH probably. Yeah, I'm not gonna look it up right now, but yeah, they're still mega expensive. But there's a tier 1, tier 3 coming soon, probably gonna blow everybody's mind. But speaking of tier 3, so now we got to see like how intense they're gonna go with tier 3s. Okay, and where did we find this? We found it on the Dunk Files. DRM OS, Dream OS. And, you know, DRM stands for Digital Rights Management, but an OS, obviously, operating system. But this is DRM OS. I think this background might modify based on what time of the day you view it or where you view it from. Obviously, keep me updated. This would be smart if I were you and you're into Clone X. I'd definitely do this because they're going to be sending kind of some new information sometime. I have no idea what. Oh, yeah, this is going to... Forgot. This is where they're going to like send you information on like how it all came to be in the history of the process for developing the Dunk Genesis. And who knows, probably a lot more updates too. But let's just check this place out a little bit. So really cool. Once again, the music's amazing. When I was doing a lot of the like background information for this video last night, I just sat here and listened to this music from Jam Pants. I just listened to this music for like 2 straight hours. It's super sick, and it's great for creative. Like if you're doing something creative, yeah, definitely put this music on and listen to it. So there's a bunch of pictures here. It's not going to center right on my screen, but we've already looked at some of these pictures, and we're going to look at some of the other ones more closely anyway. So yeah, let's just do it here. We can stay in this environment. Okay. So tier 3. Here's the pictures, right? Unreal. So now, like, oh man, I don't know that they're going to be making these physical shoes anytime soon. Here's another picture. Okay, so that's obviously insane, right? It looks beautiful. Love it. So that's tier 3 undead, which is really like amazing. I love the design. It's so good. And you can see under there's an undead tier 1. It's black. It's got the bones on it. You know, who knows if like tier 2 is like the upper structure, then tier 3 is the undersole, something like that. But I mean, I could see that they might offer the files for the vial files. You know, so like if you have a tier 3 or something, maybe like there's a way that they could offer the files so people could 3D print them and then add them to a Dunk Genesis or something. We're gonna see how that rolls out because I don't know. I don't know how that would necessarily work. I'm not sure that they haven't confirmed that. So we'll talk about the file structures and like 3D files and you know how that all works, because I have a lot to say about like how 3D files it would be great if they were on the blockchain. I mean, we could talk about that for a minute, right? Like that's one thing with even the Clone X's, like 3D files. Like it's amazing that we can share these 3D files with each other, like our Clone X 3D files. You can just give them to people. But it's kind of bringing back some of the problems that we had back in the day before before Bitcoin, right? Before like we had digital blockchain and digital property and stuff like that. It's like people could just right click save as any of your digital stuff. So like it was almost not worth collecting anything because somebody could just like quickly just like, hey, let me get that file from you. And it's like, okay, well now that person's got that file. They didn't have to go through any of the suffering to get that file. You know, like for instance, if you own an mkDNA and you have a Clone X 3D file for it. Okay, now that should be super valuable. But if another mkDNA just gives their file away, well, then that file can just be shared amongst a bunch of people, and now the value of it is basically nothing. And now, like a bunch of people, I can definitely for sure are gonna say it, and they're right to say it, is, yeah, but that stifles growth if you just start allowing property rights for things, because then people can't use the things. You know, like it has been really good for the CloneX community that 3D files can be shared amongst everybody really easily, even people who don't have clones, for sure. But there's a flip side to that equation, and you have to look at that for sure, the flip side, because we've already faced this before. We faced it with hip hop, for instance, right? Like at the beginning, I mean, this is with everything, but maybe you'll understand hip hop. I used to love hip hop at the beginning too, and everybody was kind of like taking samples from every other musician, you know, and then they would just lay like a new beat on it, and then they would rhyme over it and everything, and that's great. That is great for creativity. At the same time, what about those artists? You know, like there's a movie called Standing in the Shadows of Motown, and it's about the band that played behind the Jackson 5, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, like the band that nobody knows, and they never made any money, but they made more hit records than the Beatles, Elvis, Rolling Stones. They made more hit records than all those people combined, but no one even knows who they are, and they never really got a whole lot of money for it. But they're the sickest musicians you've ever seen. Like godlike, you know? And they came up with some of the best music anyone's ever heard, and no one ever knew who they were. They didn't get a lot of credit or money for it. And then if people are just like taking their music and then sampling over it and stuff, yeah, that's great for their creativity, but it's horrible for the creativity for these people who spent, you know, I mean, like to get like John Coltrane, like if you're going to get amazing saxophone like that, like how long does that take? How many tears are shed? How many relationships are ruined? Everything for him to get that good at the saxophone. I mean, that band, the band that played in in that movie Standing in the Shadows of Motown, which I recommend. I mean, how many dues did those dudes pay to make that music? And then if somebody just like gaffles it and then uses it for their own creativity, yeah, that sounds good on paper for the new person, but that sounds horrible on paper for the old person. And honestly, it kind of deters people from going down that very hard path of learning a saxophone to the level John Coltrane knew it, or Miles Davis on the trumpet. Like, it kind of deters people from getting that good, which is what we all want. We all want to see Miles Davis level trumpet. But if people aren't incentivized because their work can get stolen, they're not going to do it. Right? So we need to protect the original artists who create that stuff. We need to protect their rights to incentivize the future generations to get that good. And that's what we saw with a lot of with a lot of hip hop. Like it ended up getting good, where it's like people were paying for samples and stuff. But like at the beginning it was beautiful too, because nobody was paying for samples and they were just making epic music. So that's tough to lose out on that. But it's also like you have to pay homage to the people too that played the music that you're sampling. So there's a debate that could be had here, and it's a pretty intense debate, right? So I don't know where that all goes, but what I'm talking about here, even like with the 3D files, right? Like, and just digital creations in general, like it was, if you ask people, like it was almost impossible for him to make money as a 3D artist because anybody could just steal it. And if people can steal it, then there's no value to it. So that's what blockchain was great for, because yeah, people would be like, dude, I right click save as your PFP, but it's like, okay, yeah, you have like a picture of it, a snapshot of it, but I can show with my PFP that I have the actual provenance and the signature from the main artist. You know, somebody saying that they took a snapshot of your PFP is kind of like you took a picture of the Mona Lisa. Like, you don't own the Mona Lisa, right? Like the person who has the Mona Lisa owns the Mona Lisa. You have a snapshot of the Mona Lisa. The provenance and all of that is tricky, but it is what makes something more valuable, because it's more of a snapshot of the artist's effort at that time to produce that piece of work. And you have a piece of it, and the artist is signing off that you have a piece of that. And that's what matters. So what I'm saying here, it's if somehow there was a way to get the 3D files on chain, that would be pretty sick. And somebody might say, yeah, dude, but then there's no way to do that because somebody's just going to copy the 3D file anyway. There's no like way to stop them from copying that, just like there's no way to stop somebody from copying a PFP. And to that I would say, yeah, that's right. But like there's no way to stop somebody from making a fake Rolex either. But you know what? If you're the dude that shows up to the party with the fake Rolex and somebody calls you out, you're that guy now. And there goes your reputation right down the fake toilet. So like, yeah, like if somehow the 3D files were on a blockchain, then you know, if somebody was rocking like a fake version of the file, they would just be the person that's like rolling around with the fake Rolex. There would be incentivization to have the real file, is what I'm saying, and possibly ways to even prove it. Bringing it back to the vials, you know, if there is a way to 3D print these down in the future so that you could add those things to the shoes, it would be cool if they were on a chain or something, so that it just prevents people from just like, oh, you need the tier 3 files for the Murakami? No problem. I'm just going to give them to you for no reason. And now you can share them with 30 people. And all the people that own 3D or the tier 3 Murakami vials, a lot of their value gets lost. So it's a discussion that could be had. I think it would be interesting. So that was quite a tangent. But now let's keep it moving here. We already looked at those other pictures. But, you know, this was maybe some of the foreshadowing too, but it looks like those vials that are going to come into like the vial dock, it looks like they're smaller than this one right here. This is the Ledger vial, and man, I don't know. That would be crazy if it was smaller, because like the tool and die and everything, like the casting for molds, that stuff's expensive. So to have like one size here and then a different size there, that's all pretty expensive. But who knows? It could be the case. But another thing, you know, there's like 8 slots on the artifact vials, like coming soon. And there's always been speculation. I think Prez did some speculation on it. I did some speculation on it too, about like what is going to be in the new vials that come out. Maybe in Monolith X or something. Might we see like a Clone X type vial? You know, but the thing is, there was only 8 coming soons, and there's 13 total types, so maybe that's not going to add up right there. But yeah, anyway, as you can see here, the MK2, which is like a golden version of the Clone X, and you got the orange variant of the reptile. Oh yeah, the MK2 is a variant on the robot. It's a golden robot. The orange is a variant on the reptile. It's an orange reptile. Then you have the Titan. It's a variant on the undead, which is like an Attack on Titan situation. But the cool thing is, from that promotional video, we only saw one type variant, and it was the Titan. And like, this is the shoe, and it looks super amazing. I love that. So it's going to be so interesting from the vials perspective. Like, when do we see something like this? Like, where is this at? What is this meaning right here? This just must mean, like, at some point you're going to get the vial. You're going to be a type vial for Titan, and you're going to be able to equip it. And then when you equip it, this is what it looks like. Does that mean we're ever going to be able to forge something like that? I don't know. I'm not sure. I could see maybe that expanding maybe down the road. I don't know when. Who knows? It would be completely sick if you could, but that's so speculative and it's down the road. I'm not even gonna like worry about that right now. But man, it would be really cool if we are gonna be able to forge like some of these types and some of these different things going on out here. It would really reward the type people, because there's a lot of people out there proud of the types, right? Like there's all kinds of cool types. You know, like I said, there was 13 of them, so it could be very cool. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, another thing about vials too is like, what are they all going to be used for in general? Because they're pretty expensive still. Like the alien vials are expensive. I don't know if they're like 17 ETH or 15 ETH, something like that. Murakami's rolling in at around 10. I mean, undeads are still around 2, and reptiles are right around like 0.7. Still pretty expensive. And, you know, I'm wondering what the thesis is, because, you know, the crowd is always so smart, and it's weird, the wisdom of the crowd thing. Like, what's the crowd thinking? Because they're holding it pretty tight at pretty high levels. You know, if I had to guess, I would say the crowd's probably thinking that the vial ecosystem is going to be much larger than possibly just the shoes. You know, it really could be, it could extend into just every aspect of Clone X if they wanted it to. You know, like from space pods, all they got to do is throw a vial receptacle up on the wall. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying if they did this, like they put a vial receptacle on the wall, you throw mkDNA vial in there, and it turns the whole space pod, boom, into a variant of a mkDNA space pod. Or if we ever get vehicles, you throw the mkDNA on there, or you throw an alien on there, boom, it turns like this motorcycle you have or a hoverboard right into an alien hoverboard. Like, I could see something like that for vials in the future. They could have a much larger ecosystem, like when you're looking down the line, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, like however this all expands. It could be something like that. They could be pretty valuable. Let's take a look real quick, or let's take a listen. I don't think these segments are too long here. This is from the spaces. The first one is going to be Chris Lee talking about the vials. So let's just listen in.
One question I wanted to ask, switching it up a little bit, Chris, when it comes to the vials, I think there's been some questions about, you know, the evolution of the skin vials and what that might look like. Do you mind giving us some insight?
Yeah, so that's still going full force. Very excited about that. We've been working, very hard with the team to create the evolutions. But this is something that we're going to drop soon. Very excited for everybody to experience what we've been cooking up in the lab. But yeah, you're going to be able to eat all of your digital sneakers to, you know, the other evolutions. And the other evolutions are insane. Like every single one of the evolutions. Wow, especially Takashi's. Like, I can't wait for the community to see the Takashi Murakami evolution dunks, which is wow.
One thing to add to that is, like, Chris is a person who always pushes limits. Like when we ask Chris to design physical shoes, he creates stuff that's like could be impossible. So when you brief Chris to like design a purely digital crazy shoe, he's going 130%. So some of these shoes are insane, and I think it's really
there's
cool.
no earth rules, dude. Exactly.
Yeah, no,
that's my vibe.
That's where Chris thrives.
Okay.
One question.
So that's Chris talking about it, and now let's listen to Zap here. Crazy thing is, I can't even hear this right now.
Talking about
so
the vials, Z, do you mind
just relying
touching on how
the time here,
the skin vials link from the digital to the physical? Or
Yeah. I think the main concept we had with them is like we wanted to fuse the digital and physical, and like I mentioned, Chris went so crazy where some of these can't be produced now, but maybe in 5-10 years from now. So we came up with the concept of forging the vial. So it's say like if you have a Murakami Evolution 3, you can forge that physical vial and clip it onto your physical sneakers. So when you're at like community events and people who see that you have that vial, they know that you own that NFT. So it's an extra layer of customization, and that's something that was really big for this sneakers, the modularity. We kind of wanted to create a base where people can build 3D mods and customize them, and I think the vial is a very cool salute to the evolutive digital sneakers, and being able to flex that physically I think is pretty awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know, we can't go too much deeper other, like we're going to get a ton of information coming right up here. I mean, by the time, look, it's already the 24th by the time you hear this. So 7 days away until Halloween, until the Vial Forge hits. What are the prices going to be? I hope it's not too expensive because I'm about to spend a bunch of money on the Forge for the crypto dunks, or for the dunks. Got to get crypto out of there. So, I don't know. We're in for a real treat on Halloween, and I hope I can do a video right around then. So, all right. Well, now let's move to Ion, or in other news. Let's go. All right, now it's time for our third and final segment, in other news. And we're going to start off with a heavy hitter here with Harlan's response on some questions around inventory. So let's just go through them first, and then we'll kind of talk about the meat and what's important about it, right? So, all right. First question, estimated delivery window. Harlan's response is not this year. Second question, what is the overall purpose of inventory? Harlan says, can't get into it too much yet, but tangentially it helps solve some of the complications that people who don't have high familiarity with 3D technicals tools have. Okay. So 3, will it tie into a social or / gaming experience? He says it's been written in a way that has potential to tie into things. We're currently not building a game and don't want to cause unnecessary speculation there. Number 4, what is the rarity score and how will it matter? Harlan says can't say yet. Number 5, in your opinion, what will we like most about it? He says can't say yet, but there's a lot I'm excited about during this development. Okay, so like I mean, if you're probably thinking, hey man, for the most of those questions, his answers were, I can't say anything. Yeah, for sure. But there's still some important things here, right? Like number 1 is like, it's not going to be coming this year. Which that's quite a revelation. I thought we might hear something or see something before the end of the year. I mean, they have been working on this for a long time, right? We've seen what looked like a fully baked prototype, and that was a long time ago. I don't even remember the date on that. We can look that up, but that was quite a long time ago. So like, what are they adding to it and what is involved in it? And like to possibly answer that, I'm going to bring up the infamous tweet from Sam that I always reference. Okay, so answers are from Sam on the right side, questions from me on the left side. So in terms of inventory, will inventory be a standalone app or incorporated into another program? So I asked Sam that. He says it's going to be a standalone app. Okay. As a sidebar, I'm still wondering, like, we already have the Crypto Kicks in real life app. Are we also going to have an inventory app and have multiple apps? So / where's the artifact app? But now if we go to like number 3, will we see the marketplace this year? Sam says 1-W. So that could mean that we go up to answer 1, meaning question 1, will inventory have a standalone app? So Is he saying that in this standalone app, inventory will be coupled with marketplace in that app? Or is, you know, I've seen that like kind of like a meme that people put when they have when they're really surprised by something in Twitter, they'll put like one dot hyphen and then put what. So it could just be that, right? But you know, I don't know, man. It also could just be that inventory and marketplace go hand in hand, because that kind of makes sense too. But let's go back to Harlan's. So yeah, so it's not coming this year. It's been quite a process for them to work on it. It must be very serious, because I'm telling you, I don't know how long it's been. Is it a year? Man, I'm very tempted to look it up, but yeah. It's been a long time. I wouldn't doubt if I had marketplace, but when we go to the second answer, you can't get into it too much yet, but tangentially it helps solve some of the complications that people who don't have high familiarity with 3D technicals tools have. Now that makes me wonder, is this like clone tools, you know, like 2.0 basically? You know, is it a really kicked up version of clone tools in some way, where it's just like, this is how you outfit your clone, and you know, if you want to do renders and stuff in 3D, this is the best way to do it, because you have your clone, you can put whatever you want on your clone, and then you can export that as a VRM or GLB or whatever into a file and start rendering with it, with those clothes on. You know, rather than having to like equip those clothes in 3D, which could possibly be a problem or something like that. But it's clearly saying that if people don't have familiarity with 3D technical tools, like, this is going to help them. Basically, it's going to solve some of the complications. So maybe this is just, it's for more like rendering, you know, like you can take pictures of your clone and render them in the clothes that you want. You know, but then we do have the rarity element to it, right? Like, let's get off this for a second and just, you know, pull it up for a second. So in the upper left corner, you can see that there's a rarity element. And if with every piece of gear that you put on, it adjusts your rarity, you know, based on if it's uncommon, legendary, epic, or whatever. And like those shoes right there, the reptiles are rare, the Genesis are common. Wow, the crypto kicks. Yeah, the crypto kick dunks were common too. The Murakami hoodie was legendary. That's interesting. Okay, so anyway, there's a rarity element. What's that for? Because if this is just like Clone Tools 2.0, where you can like export your character once it's like got the gear on, and then what is the rarity all about? Is that just like so you can say, like, kind of flex it and be like, hey, I have a really super rare clone on right now? I don't know how you would show that to other people though, because there's no game. So who's watching this rarity element? Or how does the rarity element even factor in then? Like, are you just walking around in the metaverse telling people how rare your clone is? Or like, what other reason would that matter, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, if you're in a game or if you're in some kind of environment, then yeah, clearly your rarity is going to matter for some reason. Maybe increase hit points, or maybe some kind of like special ability or whatever. But what could it possibly be for right now? And he said he can't tell us what that's for, which is cool, because it does mean that it's still in whatever version of the inventory they're working on. They kept it, because I think he probably would have said that they got rid of it otherwise. So hey, one outlandish theory, and hey, warning, this is speculation, so clear warning here. But I've been trying to investigate, like with UEFN, can you bring in your own characters into UEFN? And man, I don't know that this would even be possible. But what if it was possible that like you could use inventory to bring your character into the UEFN game for artifact. If they are building one. They haven't necessarily completely confirmed that. But if they were, and you could bring in your character after you outfitted it in inventory, that'd be super sick. But the reason why I doubt that, well, first of all, I don't even know that it's possible. I think Epic wants to still make money off of their skin, so I don't know that they're necessarily just going to let people bring in whatever avatar they want. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that there's any other reason why that would make sense, really. Like, yeah, technically it seems like it would be quite a hurdle to make all of that happen, and I don't know that they would have the time or want to waste the resources on doing that. So anyway, yeah, like inventory, like there's many questions here. And is it Clone Tools 3.0, like super kicked up version of Clone Tools, so like it's gonna make rendering a lot easier in the in whatever clothing you want? But then there's the rarity element. So how is that rarity element manifesting into the world? Like, what is the point of it? Is it just for you personally, so you can understand how rare you are, or you know, what else? How else is that going to manifest? And then, yeah, I mean, they definitely said that they're not going to build games. That they're not building games. It said it's not this year. Kind of hinted that it's almost it's something for creatives possibly that don't have familiarity with 3D technical tools that probably still want to like floss off their clone. Then he said that they're not making a game. He wanted to clarify that. Said he couldn't address the rewards. And he said he couldn't say what we would be most excited about, but he said there's a lot that he's excited about during this development. So, yeah. I mean, for me, it was a big deal just to know that they're not coming out this year. And also that it seems to be kind of possibly Clone Tools. Like, I mean, this is just my interpretation. Like, you probably have a different interpretation, so don't quote me here. But that it could be like Clone Tools 3.0 that just makes it really easy for people that have no idea how to use anything to dress their clone up and put it on the timeline and stuff. I feel like it might just be like for the person who has no idea. So that actually, that's pretty cool, but you know, it's a little tough for me, obviously. I talked about at the beginning as a gamer, like I was hoping inventory was really going to be part of the artifact world. And like, you know, if there was a world, which maybe that is the case, right? Because we have space pods. So maybe you're able to use inventory, because Yarlin is the space pod guy too. Oh. Okay, so maybe this is all kind of coming together right now. Is that Harlan is the space pod guy, and he's also the inventory guy. That makes sense. Maybe you're going to be using inventory to deck out your clone into whatever you want to wear, so that you can then export it into your space pod or something, and then be able to walk around wearing your gear in your space pod. So if you wanted to have a party or something, you know, they already have portals. It makes it easy for people to interact. But like, if you wanted to have a party, you could have a party, and you could be wearing whatever you want to wear using inventory. Anyway, that's enough of that. A lot of speculation, but just wanted to talk about that for a second. And also, we had just like, we're just going to talk about the Air Force Ones also, because like, man, is it? Gosh, Rivka. I believe I took a way better picture of Rivka's actual profile. Yeah, here it is right here. So, Rivka took a really cool picture. And we're going to take a look at it. Boom. right here. Come on in. Yep. That's right. RVKA at OJIIRU. So, yeah, took this picture right here. I believe was the first one to take this picture. Okay, and I could have that wrong, and I hope I don't, because that's a really sweet picture, and whoever took it first needs to really get credit. But I believe it was Rivka. But it was a sweet picture. And this whole thing kind of evolved, too, because it went from here. And then next thing you know, Singularity took this awesome picture. Oh, man, I got the wrong Singularity profile picture. Let me put that in here. Boom. Hey, we're just editing on the fly right now. Part of the process. Okay, so, yeah, there's Singularity. Singularity is really cool. But, yeah, Singularity took this sweet picture here. Which, I mean, look at that box. That box is amazing. And what a great idea to just like put the shoes in the box like this. So killer idea. And then after that, we saw Artifact busted out. And gosh, that is so cool looking. It's a great photo. So we saw all kinds of really great photos. Oh, hey. Oh, man, we're about to digress here. We're about to rewind because I forgot to mention something about the space pods, okay? And this is Tevi Lawson. Always has on-point research and everything. And Tevi has this tweet here. You should look this up. Go follow Tevi and look up this tweet on his timeline right here, because this is Harlan right here talking about how if you have a better space pod, that you will see possibly strange results. Let me give you the exact quote real quick. Better pods will bring better, and sometimes, do I dare say, stranger developments. So what the heck could that mean? Stranger developments? Better pods? And it's sometimes also? So like, what does that mean? I mean, hey, if we're just saying it, that means like there's a random chance that if you have a better pod, that something strange is going to happen when you're taking care of, because this was in terms of incubation. And he was like basically saying like, if you're going to incubate and stick with it and everything, if you have a better pod, then sometimes strange developments could happen. And man, what the heck does that mean? Right? Anyway, go listen to this for sure. Follow Tevi. Here we go. All right, now back to what we were talking about before with the Air Force Ones. Yeah, I want to talk about this real quick. Chris Create 3 at Chris Create 3 found an Easter egg on the Air Force Ones. And what an Easter egg this was. I believe it was Create that found this, because Zap in the comments said, hey, you found the Easter egg. So Create says, forgive me for the spam, but the total supply on the drips? So yeah, basically you can lift up the sole cover there and you can see the total supply of whatever Air Force One you have, which is insane. And look at the drips, man, 3822. That's so low when you consider like what normal runs go for. I mean, they're way higher runs typically. So 3,800 is insane, but like then you consider the aliens and there's only 60 of them. It's out of control. And then we're just going to take a look around the horn at some people that were just doing some of the Air Force One unboxings. Right? I mean, here's a friend of the channel, Ella Orbis. the person who did the Artifact News theme song, killing it with his undeads, man. Look at the undeads in that package right there. It looks so cool in the display case because that green is popping out of there so bad. But Illa's saying that these are the best shoes I've ever laid eyes on. Design, presentation, and overall quality is luxurious. Plus the free shirts and shoe bags, insane. Looks sweet. So yeah, that's awesome. Congrats on the undeads, Illa. That's crazy. And then you got the stoned human out here, Austin Space. So definitely follow Austin too, Austin1_AG. And he's got a really great little collection right there. I mean, gosh, got the staples too. Got the CIRLs, reptiles, and the MK drip. Ooh, killing it. Also, look at that banner. Oh man, that rug, because Austin makes rugs. And that rug right there is so sick. Dang, man. Loving that. Might have to get a commission. I hope he's open to it. All right, so yeah, Austin's got a great collection going right there. And what Austin says is, I've always been a sneakerhead. I grew up in the culture, but I've never considered myself a collector until today. Thank you, Artifact. Every shoe you make is a grail. Also hyped about the dot swoosh and the new wave of sneakers and seamless transactions. Tenages and dunks next. Cool. And then we're going to go for somebody that's not like, I mean, this is Franelations. This is legend right here. And Fran's got a great collection, and you know, he's always got videos about unboxings and stuff. He's just all into video game and collectible culture and everything like that, and he's like always showing love to the clone community. So yeah, I mean, this is like, it's really cool. He did some unboxings in the timeline and everything, and Fran's is saying the Artifact and Nike Takashi Palm AF1 have finally arrived, completely worth the wait. Quality is unreal. It's safe to say no Web3 brands have delivered at this level. None. Congrats to the whole Artifact team. So he's got the human MK drip, and then he's got the MK DNA. He's got 3 drips, a Genesis, a robot, a human, and the MK DNA. He's got a sweet collection. Cool, yeah, so... And now, how about this? This happened today, or the 23rd, Monday. We have one more special surprise for a select few who forged the Air Force Ones. So then there's the 10 emoji with the Japanese ogre there, and it's like everybody kind of put it together, and they were all right that it was something special for people who actually forged all 10 DNA of the Air Force Ones, right? Something special for them. And what was it? Well, it's a salute to collectible sneaker history. And here it is. The What the Artifact. A 1 of 40. Okay, so rarer than the aliens. The aliens are 60 of them. There's only 40 of these. And I saw this and I was like, oh man, they're going to give them the digital. That's super sick. No, no, no. They're giving them the digital and the physical. The digital and the physical. And here's the crazy thing, okay? The physical is already starting to ship. It's not like they're going to have to wait 6 months for these physicals to be made. The team was already on point and ready to go and had the physicals. They're ready to ship. And what is it? It's like an amalgamation of all of the DNA right there. And man, that is just a mythical shoe. Right? That is going to go down in history right here. It's got the alien blade too. And then it's got the reptile quarter in the front. Man, they just really did it up right for these. This is just next level right here. This is true luxury for me because they're giving these away to the people who forged all 10 shoes. And granted, it is not cheap to get all 10 of the shoes. So those people paid a big price, right? here's the crazy thing. These shoes might cover all that. I mean, I don't know how much these are going to be worth. It could be a time thing. You might have to hold on to for a while. I don't know. This is like super mythical craziness. I don't even know how historical those are going to be. Man, I don't know, man. Whew. I think it's going to be a big old deal. Just a huge deal. And they're giving them away for free to the collectors, taking care of their collectors, and just like completely looking out, man. And that's just super sick. So it took a lot of planning, took a lot of execution, took a lot of care for their collectors. Took a lot of great design and hard work. That's probably the hardest one. That's definitely, I would say that's got to be the hardest one they had to manufacture. And they did it for their collectors. So that's insane. It's beautiful. Love it. So, yeah, speaking of giving away free stuff, Johnny X NFT has always been in the mix, just like constantly creating ever since this whole thing jumped off from the beginning. He's been making customs for people. He's just been like making all these kind of customs all the way. Honestly, brilliant dude. Like, if you listen to him, he's got the whole business figured out. He knows it from video games to shoes. He knows the whole business inside out. He's really, really on point. So, yeah, man, they gave him aliens. That was the only pair that he couldn't get. It was like a saga. We were all watching it. It's like, can Johnny get the aliens? And it didn't look like it was going to happen. And then, boom, Artifact gifted him the aliens. There's only 60 of those. I mean, it was like, the reason why Johnny didn't have them is because to buy that was like 9 ETH, 10 ETH, which right now is about 20 grand, right? So they just kind of gifted Johnny 20 grand. And that put Johnny in the mix to get the free shoe that they just delivered to, which I don't know what that shoe's worth, but if the alien's worth 20, that shoe's got to be worth a lot more. So they're hooking Johnny up, but he's been putting a ton of work in, so whatever, man. He deserves it. And then the Baron, they hooked Baron up too. I think it was for his birthday, which is great. He got a pair of the aliens, man. And you know, Baron's a legendary collector. You can even see behind him, he's got all of like the MK DNAs up on the wall printed and everything. But he's just like a really epic collector too, that collects all kinds of things, but he's got a serious shoe collection. And he's always out there on the timeline, you know, trying to keep people straight without setting FUD straight and stuff, and keeping people honest out there. So Baron put his work in. And then then Yobs, man, they hooked up Yobs with the reptiles, and like he's got his reptile hat on. And he was super fired up about that. I think that was like the shoe he really wanted right there. So, and he's always doing stuff, like he's a super creative dude, always super positive and cool. And yeah, so they hooked him up too. So taking care of their collectors, I mean, they always take care of the creatives. You know, we always talk about creatives, and they're always hooking everybody up. But they have done so much for their collectors too. So like, we can't ever really forget that. So yeah, it's great. Things are going great. That's amazing. And that's the end of that segment. And yeah, let's just do the final wrap up. Okay, so thank you for joining me on episode number 23, the Artifact Nike Dunk Genesis. It was fun. This is probably a super long video. I don't know. It's another 3-hour video. Hopefully you like them. You know, I'm kind of more into the long form stuff. Like, I like watching long form videos, and like if I'm doing something creative, I like to throw a podcast on it or something and listen to it. So hopefully I'm accompanying you on some of your creative efforts out there. But hey, this is a big week, right? We got Halloween coming up in 7 days, and that's when the vial's going to roll out. We get to find out the prices, and then we're going to get to find out some more things that come along with the whole vial situation. I wonder what kind of packaging the vials are going to come in too. That could be really cool. And I wish I could get some of those other rare vials, man. They're just super expensive. But yeah, we got the forging, then Complexcon's going to be so cool to see what artifact busts out there, because they're talking about how the marketing is going to be on point. A lot of people are going to see the Air Force Ones. I wonder if they're going to have one of the what the artifacts there. Like, what if somebody tries to buy a what the artifact at Complexcon and like coughs up a mill for it? Which honestly, man, that might be what that's worth. I don't even know. But maybe they're going to be the what the artifact there. Maybe they're going to see like a sample of the crypto or the Dunk Genesis. Probably going to have some Air Force Ones there. Whole team's probably going to be there repping, doing interviews. You know, maybe we'll see them get interviewed by some of the Complexcon people, and that's gonna be fun to watch. So we got Vial rollout, Complexcon, and then we're gonna then we got Christmas, and yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting, to see like where we're heading. I had this thought the other day. It's just like, maybe something's going on here. Okay, maybe there's a little pattern. It's just like there's physical and there's digital, and we talked about this earlier. But it's like that is what this ecosystem is all about, right? Merging the digital and the physical, and that's kind of Benoit's place, right? He is the one bringing it all together. He's the connection between the digital and the physical. He's the one that's bringing them together and making sure that they're getting their shine, right? So we have been in physical season for a long time now, right? We had the clothing forge, then we had the crypto kicks in real life, and now the AF1s. Now we're going to forge the vials and the Dunk Genesis. So it seems very physical heavy. And in a way, it's like now that we learn that they're not getting a game, they're not going to make a game. Like, has Artifact kind of switched over to more of a physical presence? In a way, or something, because I wonder that, but then I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe it's seasonal. Maybe what Ben could be thinking is like, this is physical season right here, and then Animus is going to come in, and then everything's going to get real digital, real quick, real gamey and kind of digital type situation. I don't really know. That's what I'm just wondering. There's kind of like a seasonal thing to it, where it's like Zap gets on the ball and he's going nuts trying to make sure that like all of the physical's being handled. Then maybe he gets just kind of chill for a second, and then that's when Chris gets amped up and ramped up and starts bringing like heavy digital rollout of Animus and all of that kind of lore stuff and everything. And maybe that just keeps rotating. I don't know. That's something I'm kind of looking for. And then, hey, will Jingle Bells happen? Are we going to see a UEFN situation during Christmas? Or is there going to be anything during Christmas? Who knows? But I appreciate you dropping by. If you listen to this whole thing, oh man, I can't wait till we can be a community or something. I think I got to get to 500 people, because then I can start like doing some weird giveaways or something, I guess. I'm not even 100% sure, but thank you anyway for stopping by. If you haven't, subscribe, like, tell a friend. Let's try to get there together. And yeah, I think that's it. And just remember one thing: go news yourself. Peace.